IVM.
Hello and welcome back with yet another episode of Heal and Hearty, your show that helps you reduce your risk of diseases and lead the best life you can. I'm your host and health coach, Rachna Chhachhi, not Chachi, cancer nutrition coach and nutritional therapist. And we are going to sit quietly and listen to the music inside ourselves. Dhadak, dhadak, dhadak. Can you hear it? Dhadak, dhadak, dhadak. Is it saying something to you? Dhadak. What is it saying? Your heart is beating for you and it knows secrets that your mind has no clue about. And yet, we don't listen to it. When we get stressed, when we eat heavy food, we feel an uneasiness in our chest. That is our dhadak talking to us, telling us that we need to stay calm and eat healthy. Heart disease is the number one killer in the world and in India. We all know the risk factors, but we don't pay attention. Today, we have in our studio someone who didn't pay attention, was diagnosed with 90%, yes, you heard that right, 90% blockages, and then decided to pay attention to his heart. He chose not to get a bypass surgery done. He is 53 years old. It has been 4 years since he was diagnosed with these blockages, and he is leading an absolutely normal life. How is he doing that? What did he do to ensure that this life-threatening situation becomes a peaceful life? Let's meet Deepak Khera in conversation with the beautiful and knowledgeable Dr Bhavana Gautam on the other side of the break and hear his story of how he listened to his dhadak, dhadak. Put your hand to your heart, take a deep breath and come back to meet this wonder boy.
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep or lose weight or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.
Hello and welcome back on this side of the break. I hope you have grabbed your water, green tea or cup of coffee if you want to be really, really alert for this episode, which is on cardiovascular diseases, heart disease, which is the number one killer in the world. I have two very interesting guests with me, as I have already shared with you. Dr. Bhavana Gautam, who is no stranger to you all. She's a medical doctor and a mental well-being expert. Hi, Bhavana.
Hi, Rachna. Good to be back.
Yes, welcome back. Your beaming smile is always part of this podcast. And we have Deepak Khera, who's a sort of medical marvel. Hi, Deepak.
Hi. Why do you call me a medical marvel?
The listeners will, understand as you unravel your journey.
Okay,
so
good.
I will just give a little background before we deep dive into this. Deepak is somebody who has been walking around with blockages and chosen not to get bypass surgery done. And we will today understand his journey of why he thinks that he got his condition, how it impacted him, and why he chose not to go in for conventional bypass surgery, and how is he coping with it. So Deepak, the field is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachna. So when I was around 27, 28 years old, I had a very stressful life.
So Deepak is 53 now.
Yes. And that was because of my career. And the other thing which came into my life was a lady. And I had a very stressful relation. So during that time, my BP used to fluctuate and used to be, so I went for a medical checkup and my blood pressure was 200 by 125. And I was immediately given some medication and 1 week bed rest. So, being a smoker and being in hospitality industry, so all the reasons
From what I do know, what you told me about your history, you used to have a lot of red meat and you had a large appetite.
Well, all part of growing up and growing big.
In a good Punjabi household.
Yeah. And hospitality industry where you are, paid to taste things. So then I got scolding from everybody in the family. Stop smoking, stop drinking, stop eating red meat. But nobody told me stop having stress, because that was career and relationship. So after that high BP, things were a little different. And I was on medication, so I calmed down a bit because of medication. But the stress, the root cause of stress was still there. So the medication only suppressed it.
Okay.
So then it led to a lot of other things. Then, cut to 10 years later, when I was 39, I had a heart attack.
And we all know, listeners, for those of you who don't know, a heart attack before the age of 40 can be extremely fatal. Most
cases.
Yeah, most cases do not survive. So Deepak, touch wood, thank God, you're sitting with us here.
Yeah, so at 39, when I had the heart attack, the reason was, again, everybody said it was food, it was my lifestyle, it was my smoking, it was lack of exercise, and it was, but nobody talked about stress. And that was the time when I was in my organization being groomed for a senior position to head the country of a hospitality chain. But nobody said, don't take the stress. So that heart attack came as a warning to me. And that was the time I decided, boss, I need to live. I have a small child and I have a lovely wife.
Yeah.
So that was the time, real time, when I said, okay, I am not going to continue with these bad eating habits. So I changed a bit for some time, and probably 3 years down the line I was okay. And then when I realized that I had lost weight, I was okay. I quit smoking for some time. Then I started to come back to my original lifestyle. So again, by the time I was 49, I had a massive heart attack with 7 blockages, 2 of them 90%, 80, 70, 60, 50, and so on.
Now we know the medical marvel.
Yes, absolutely.
So now was the time for me to decide whether I wanted to continue with my life or just kick the bucket. And that was a real wake-up call for me. So then I decided, we've done enough. We've done enough of experimentation. Let's start something, leave something. So this time I was on 3 permanent things. That is no smoking, no red meat, and exercise. So these 3 things helped me first to lose 9 kgs in 2 months. And then I continued that for approximately 2 years. And then I don't know why, when I felt I'm okay, I've started to not smoke, eat little bit of red meat, and switched over from red wine to vodkas and beers.
Back again.
Yeah, so I remember Deepak came to me with these 90% blockages, and I was actually getting my passport renewed, and I got this frantic call from Deepak's cardiologist, who had Deepak and his wife sitting in front of him, and he said, you are on speaker and I am not doing his bypass. So, and I also panicked. So I said, why are you not doing his bypass? Because my nutritional and healing program is only going to impact him so much, because I need a long window. I need 3 to 6 months. And what if in these 3 to 6 months he has an incidence, because he's literally sitting on a bomb. So Dr. Madhukar Shahi, God bless him, I remember, he told me, he says, I will give him all the emergency stuff, but you've got to treat him, because this man, after a bypass, is going to walk out and say, where's the red meat? Where are the cigarettes? He's not going to change his lifestyle. He's going to be back to this. And I have seen it as a pattern over the last so many years with him. So please, start helping him change his lifestyle. So you remember that conversation, Deepak?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said that I will treat you only if you continue with what I tell you to do.
Yes.
And that was a life and death situation, and I said, I promise I would do
Quickly
that.
said yes.
Yeah, but then after 2 years when I was okay.
When it's no longer life and death.
Yeah.
So and now I don't know why. Maybe I think that I have Rachna in my life. So if something goes wrong, she's just a phone call away. So I think that thing is probably led to me behaving like a bad kid. But yeah, that's wrong. I shouldn't do.
I don't think bad kid, but just like a kid.
Yeah. So Bhavana, I have to tell you this. When Deepak came to me at the age of 49 and his cardiologist said that I will not do the bypass, his levels, I have to share his levels. He had a cholesterol of 301. He had a triglyceride level of 1,783.
4 digits.
4 digits.
First time I've heard 4 digits.
Yeah.
You heard of 6-digit salary?
4-digit triglycerides.
So, which obviously to people who don't know the correlation, it also means an enlarged and fatty liver.
Yes.
And his bad cholesterol was 125, which was not that alarming.
Right.
But the triglyceride means that the bad fats which were blocking his heart were everywhere.
Right.
45 days later, 45 days, this man was so committed to me, and hats off to you, Deepak, for that level of commitment. It was amazing.
Thank you.
We did the reports again, and I presented him as a case study in a London conference with cardiologists, and I've had somebody from Johns Hopkins cardiologist come up and congratulate me on my work because of Deepak's reports.
So I'm an international patient now.
Oh yes, totally.
Soon, celebrity soon.
So his triglycerides came down from 1,783 to 370.
Oh wow.
Not still in range, but in
it's
45 days.
Right.
And his LDL, bad cholesterol, became negative. Now the moment the bad cholesterol becomes negative, guys, it means that your blockages are starting to dissolve. That is a sign.
Yes.
That the bad lipids are going. So that was the level at which he was, and that is how, Deepak, you took the initiative to fix yourself at that time.
Yeah, and after that, when I continued with this, I went for an angio. My first angio was 90, 80, 70, 60.
I'm sure.
My second angio after 1 year was 80, 70, 60, 50.
Wow.
My third angio, which was last year, was 70, 70. So now it is going down. Now the problem is that after my third angio, I said, I'm okay now. So I just wavered from that commitment. But yeah, that was wrong. So now I'm here again with you guys to help me come back to the regular schedule.
Yeah. So Bhavana, I have a question for you regarding Deepak and people like him who know what is the right thing to do, how to do it, achieve amazing results with it, with their willpower, and yet they slip. It's a pattern of behavior. I worked with Deepak for his nutrition, for his heart, made it healthy, exercise, everything. He rightly pointed out that he had a lot of stress, and whenever I used to ask him to do pranayam, he used to just look at me like I'm the stupidest person on earth. So he never believed that pranayam would actually reduce his stress or anything. But as a mental well-being specialist, what is your understanding and advice to somebody like him who has this pattern of behavior?
I think, Rachna, before we really address on the advice bit, I would like to tell people, health experts out there must be knowing about it, I'm sure, that any person is a complex mix of his biopsychosocial backgrounds. Mm-hmm. He comes from his genes, he comes from his personality, he comes from his social setup, from his cultural setup, his financial setup. And when we address a person as a patient, somewhere this is the element which somehow gets missed when we ask them to follow a regime. Otherwise, if it was so easy to follow regimens, it was so easy to follow awareness sessions, every government campaign on seatbelt driving, no alcohol driving, cigarette smoking would have been a raging success. But we know it's the other way around.
Yes, Bhavana, but I am also sharing as a nutritional therapist and a cancer nutrition coach. Everybody else that I have treated has consistently followed, and 90% of people over the last 12 years have pretty much stayed healthy. I'm very, very fond of Deepak, and I want him to stay healthy, and I am actually tearing my hair out over here. So we need you to help him and to help listeners understand what is this pattern of behavior and how can he. It's not like he doesn't want to do it.
I'm sure he does. Yeah, everybody wants to, right? When you see yourself heading for a collision course, I'm sure unless you are deeply hateful of yourself, you would want to change it.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah. And he does.
And he has enough reasons. He has enough reasons. Lovely wife and a lovely kid and a lovely home, a growing career. Of course, you would want to have the best of reasons to continue.
Right.
So basically, you know what? There are too many models out there, models of health behavior, models of health psychology. Without getting into that, let me just very simply put it, generally how people adapt to a healthy behavior and why they stay consistently with it. Those factors can be divided into certain internal factors and external factors. I'm going to keep it very simple, so please understand there is no one single factor. Usually it's a mix of multiple of them.
Right.
But just for the ease of understanding, I'm segregating it this way. When it comes to the internal factors, it depends on a person's attitude, his belief system, how he has grown up perceiving the world, the behavior associated with that attitude. So all this comes from his years and years of experience, his years of absorbing the world around him. It becomes a part of your personality. The way you look at a negative event, a negative person, a negative incident in life is very different for each one of us. That's the reason why we perceive stress so differently. You know, I mean, you are quite aware, Rachna, of psychosomatic disorders, of emotional eating.
Yes.
Where do they stem from? They stem from the fact that we have perceived that particular incident a little differently from probably somebody else.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, similarly, there are certain stressful reactions that we have which stem from our own low self-esteem, our own aggressive, our own angry attitude that we carry with us, maybe about that incident, maybe just about as part of our personality, the typical type A personalities that we talk about. All of these impact the way a person sees his health. You know, now when I talk about the external influences, the culture that you come from. To give you a very, very simple example, when I decided that I was on the brink of probably an autoimmune disorder and I need to bring about the changes much earlier. Remember, I came to you for the therapy bit of it.
Right.
Being a young person, when I said I need to have such a regimented diet and no to the typical food stuff that we have, a lot of people came up to me and said that, yeah, what's the point? You're such a young person. Why do you want to do this?
Right.
Because culturally, it's not acceptable somehow that a young person follows such a regimented diet.
Yes.
You're not that old. Why do you need to go for walks every day? You're not that old. Why do you need to hit the gym every day?
You're not overweight. Why do you do this?
Yeah, why do you do this?
Yes,
you know.
yes,
So
yeah.
that's a culture we come from.
Yes.
A lot of love in that culture, but yes, it's a little bit of misguided love which we experience.
As the Punjabi says, love with calories.
Yeah, love with calories. Absolutely.
Yes, very true.
Yeah. So we forget that all of these elements are coming into picture when a person is expected to follow a regimen. It is so easy for somebody to go hang out with a bunch of like Deepak said, he was 28 when he had the first incident. At that age, you're hanging out with people your age. They are having fun. They are drinking. They are probably smoking. And when you see your peers doing it, it's very difficult for you to say, oh, why should I not
do it?
Yeah, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
So your brain somewhere tells you it's okay. People your age are doing it.
I'll do it when I'm 40.
Yes. Itni koi badi baat nahi. See, they are doing it and they are fine.
Yeah. True. Very true. Very true.
And that's I believe people miss out these elements when they or when somebody recommends, follow this regimen, they forget to ask him, listen, by the way, who are the people you're hanging out with?
Yeah.
Generally, what is your social support like? You know, how many people are going to be there saying, dude, I am drinking, but I'm sorry, you're not allowed.
True.
You know, who will actually be that friend of yours who says no?
It's very funny. So you say this, and when I treat kids, I actually tell the parents that on the dining table, it should be the same amount, a kind of food that the kid wants to eat, so that your entire family environment is such that encourages the child to eat healthy and get better.
Completely.
But when we become adults, that support system starts dying out, saying, oh, okay, you're not allowed, but I can have it.
True. And people forget to understand that as personalities, we are so varied. Just to simply put it, there is a pessimistic way of explaining things to yourself and there's an optimistic way. People differ in the way they explain things to themselves. It changes with situations, with age, with experiences, but at a given moment, they are either explaining themselves pessimistically or optimistically. An optimistic person will believe that he has the control of what's happening in his life, whereas a pessimistic person will come from a point and say, no, irrespective of me doing it, nahi hone wala hai. I have no control over it. Either God has or my spouse has or the world has.
Or that typical jo hoga dekha jayega.
You know.
Or they blame the parents genetically.
And to everybody who thinks that heart disease blockages are genetic, no. They are classified as a lifestyle disease, which means that your lifestyle has caused it. And Deepak sitting here with us is a true example of demonstrating that whenever he has fixed his lifestyle, he has become healthier, his reports have clinically become much better, and whenever he has slipped, the reports and the symptoms have also slipped. So everybody who tells you that heart disease, because your mother has it, you have it, don't hide behind your mother. Please take charge of your life and take charge of your mother as well, so that you guys all can eat much healthier. We are going to take a short break now, and on the other side of the break, Dr. Bhavana's analysis is going to be tested back on Deepak, and we would like Deepak to give us his views on whether he agrees with her and the fact that stress is something that he has already shared. How can Dr. Bhavana help him handle his stress better? So, see you on the other side. Take a few deep breaths, and we'll be back.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I also kind of wanted to make a couple of other announcements, right? So first, as I think I mentioned last week, I just want to kind of reiterate, we're going to be closing our SoundCloud channel at the end of this month. So if this is where you're hearing us, please maybe try and listen to us on something else, maybe the IVM Podcast app, maybe another app. We're on all kinds of different platforms. The other thing is a little happier, right? So for the first time ever in Asia, we have a podcasting award for shows made in Asia. And we're very happy to announce that a number of our shows have been nominated. Pesa Vesa, Tech Careers in the New, Vartalab, and Shunya One have all been nominated for these awards. Please go to the website asianpodcastawards.com and go vote for our shows. Come on, make us win, guys. And let me tell you what's going on this week. On The Seen and the Unseen, Amit is joined by China expert Manoj Kevalramani. They talk about the China-India relationship and conflicts that need to be resolved. On Vartalab, Akash and Naveen are joined by writer, director, and producer Raj Kaushal. Raj is an old friend of mine, and he talks to these guys about Jim Jam, biscuits, Kiss Me Dogs, and cricket. Speaking of cricket on What a Player, Mikhail and Siddharth talk about the India-South Africa Test Series. They also discuss the Japanese Formula 1 and announce the What a Player of the Week and Not a Player of the Week, also known as the Wow Now. Let's talk about what's happening in the pop culture side of things. On the Geek Fruit podcast, hosts Dinkar and Tejas are joined by their friends Kunal Rao from the East India Company. Join them as they discuss their favorite sitcoms of all time. On Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Janice and Anirudh continue the saga of Indian shows that they love. Tune into the second part where they discuss the TV shows Family Man and Ye Meri Family. On Football Shitball, hosts Gaurav, Karthik and Shiva talk about the biggest rivalry in English football and how it's become more of a walkover than a competition. On Paperbacks, Satyajit and Rachita are joined by Natasha Malpani Oswal, the host of another IVM show, Boundless. She discusses her love for writing along with the creative process she practices every day. On Keeping It Queer, Naveen and Farad are joined by our producer Madhuri Advani to understand asexuality and bust the myths surrounding this umbrella category. With that, let's get you onto your show.
Welcome back. You are with me, Rachna Chhachhi, not Chachi, on our show which shows you the path to stay healthy and combat and beat lifestyle diseases. And as we are continuing our conversation with Dr. Bhavana Gautam, mental well-being specialist, and Deepak Khera, heart disease patient, we will throw it open between Dr. Bhavana and Deepak in terms of certain solutions for his journey forward to get healthier.
Rachna, before we go further, out of pure curiosity, why Chhachhi, not Chachi?
Okay, so first of all, Chhach is a province in the Punjab of Pakistan, which was gifted to my father-in-law's great-grandfather by Maharaja Ranjit Singh for winning a war. So stay clear, I'm a bit of royalty. So the family, which were Kohlis initially, took the name of the province, and there are only a few families in the world which have the surname Chhachhi. So we are a unique tribe.
You have a distinction, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And when I started my, nutritional therapy and cancer nutrition, a lot of people thought I call myself Chachi because I heal people and I counsel people and everything. And they would come to the workshops and they would say, but we thought you're this 65-year-old woman
Chachi,
with a Chachi with a bun and white hair and whatever. So So that's the story, and I don't. So guys, when you see me on the street or you refer to me on my social media, I am the Chhachhi.
Quite a happening one at that, huh? Not the sari-clad 60-year-old.
Yes. So Bhavna and Deepak, I actually want to make it an open discussion between the two of you, because we are looking at some solutions for Deepak and looking at Deepak giving his views on why he thinks that he got the heart disease and why he thinks he has that pattern of getting better and slipping and getting better and slipping, and for you to help him live here and give him the right suggestions.
Deepak, I mean, I think this session is going to be helpful for so many people out there. They may not have reached a critical point like you did multiple times, but I think they do relate with your journey, where you start off something which you know you most essentially need to do, but go back on it again and again. So before we go ahead, you mentioned the word stress when you were describing your journey, and hats off to you that you actually recognized that there was another element present over there. Why don't you give a bit of insight into the critical moments that you had in your health journey? And today, looking back at it, where do you think the connection between stress and that critical event came in?
Okay, so the stress part I realized only probably 2-3 years ago. Earlier I didn't know. You see, everything was blamed on my lifestyle.
Right.
People were saying genetically, because probably your grandfather had, or your mother has high BP, or your uncle has high BP, so that aspect came in. So the first time when I had this issue at the age of 28, 29, the real thing was that I was undergoing relationship issues, and because of that I was under stress. So I was at the age of 28, 29, you were kind of trying to rise in the corporate ladder, at the same time have good life, balanced life with good relationship. So both the things led to a lot of stress, where I thought that my activities, my actions were the things which were creating a lot of imbalance in my life. But it was my mental things which were going in my mind. Those things were putting on stress. So that's why my BP was high. Then next time when again similar problem happened, again in my life I was going through a career change. I had just left my job and I was going through, setting up my own company. So this stress came. So why it went better was because in between, not because of medication or I would say lifestyle change, but I was having a very smooth life. So because there was no stress, I was feeling much better. Now, when you are feeling better, nobody goes for a medical checkup if there's nothing wrong.
You're feeling better. Absolutely.
Right. So I only went for these medical checkups after I was hospitalized. And then when I was hospitalized at 29, I was hospitalized at 39. And then after that, my career started to, boom again in terms of setting up my own small little company. Then I realized that since there's nothing wrong, so you don't need any prevention, any care, because you're back on track. So you can eat what you want, do whatever you want, feel healthy. Instead of walking, I was running, and sometimes, instead of eating 3-4 small meals a day, I was eating 6 large meals a day or whatever, doing food tasting with different kind of kebab joints. And then when this came up at the age of 49, then the common factor apart from physical lifestyle was the stress, which nobody told me was one of the trigger points. But when I met Rachna and she says that you calm yourself down, try to change from type A to type B, and that thing might help you. So when I started off for 2 years, not only my reports came down, everything was fine. Then after that, when things are going fine, you need to kind of reward yourself. And and my reward was that I've left so many things for such a long time. Then why don't
Let's take all of them back.
I deserve a party.
Not only a party, I deserve a lifestyle change of
back again.
The wheat beer, which was introduced in India only last year or 2 years ago. So I had to make sure that I cope up
for all the missed years.
Yeah. So then realizing all that thing, so the stress factor was something which was really the trigger, and my ability to fight with medical reports and make them come back to normal. So I was confident that my ability to come back to normal, and in case something goes wrong, Rachna was just a phone call away. Give her a call and tell her, listen, I've got these problems, and she would advise the solution. So maybe because of that backup I had.
Yeah, that somebody else is taking the responsibility.
Exactly. It's like, why should I worry about things which are not in my hands?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like we said, the not in my hand part that we discussed.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to tell listeners out here that we are not making a very linear correlation between stress and heart disease. And this is where, going a little ahead, I would like to talk to Deepak about stress. Yes, everybody has those stresses. You have relationship stresses happening through different phases of your life. You have career stresses happening. I think it's a very normal thing when you look at the millennials today going through a typical cycle of this, but not everyone is going through a similar health cycle. The point where people miss out is that the way Deepak perceives his stress is not the way somebody else working with him has perceived stress. The way Deepak has perceived stress comes from a lot of things that have made Deepak who he is today. His personality, his belief system. So just to throw a bit of light on it, Deepak, could you tell us that if somebody was to ask you what was your personality like when you were 28 years old? Irrespective of the stress which was there. By the time you were 28 years old, if somebody asked you, what were you like as a person, how would you describe yourself?
I would say I was a very happy-go-lucky kind of a guy who would believe that, the world is full of friends. You just have to go out there and shake hands and make more friends and, have an approach towards life where everybody is, like a family, and there are no walls and no restrictions in relationships. So till that time, and also in terms of life, in terms of career, it was like, there's so many ladders you can climb any. You just have to work hard and you just have to be basically smart and intelligent. So my life was go out there, grab it, it's all available.
So would it be very generalized to say that even growing up you had a rather non-confrontational, non-conflicting environment?
Yes. Saying and accepting that you were a pampered child was...
I didn't want to put it that way.
No, it's okay. I understand. So yes, whatever I had, I come from a upper middle class family, and my parents went out of the way to give me whatever I wanted. So there was no... I didn't have to think about basic needs, certain luxuries. Like when I was in college, I wanted a bike, and my father said, can you wait for a year to take a bike, because then I'll get a loan from my bank. So I said, why would bank take a year to give you a loan?
See, I like that. I like the optimism.
Yeah. So it was, so I said, fine, let's go. And we got a bike.
Right
and right now, a month later. So all those things, then they probably... to rise in my career, where I was doing my hotel management, we needed to find out, how I could probably get better education after studying in India. So there were courses, post-graduation courses only available outside the country, and they were expensive. So I said, if I do this, things would be great. So my dad said, don't you worry, we have a house, and I'm going to sell that house and finance you. And I was like, I didn't say okay, but I said, that's so, we have a solution. So
somebody always gave a solution.
There was always a solution present, either by my support system, that is family,
right,
or probably I tried to use my intelligence to find a solution, and I was lucky to get a solution.
Yeah,
I never faced any kind of a wall, that, oh God, now I don't know what to do. That had never happened in my life. So it was just moving on and on and on.
So when that first conflict started entering your life, right? Like, because you grow up, you meet people outside your comfort circle, outside people who will be so willingly ready to gratify your every request. Did you find it easy to adjust to that conflict? Did you know how to handle that conflict?
So there is always there's a saying which says, it can't happen to me.
Right.
And we always think, if somebody has a heart attack, it can't happen to me. If somebody meets with an accident, you say, it can't happen to me. But, remember one thing, everything can happen to you. Right? If it can happen to somebody else, it can happen to you.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't prepared. Till the time I was 27, 28, I wasn't prepared. It can't happen to me. So when I entered this relationship after having, meeting a lot of people and trying to find the right girl for me, it didn't go off very well in the first year itself, from the first year itself. And I was wondering, it can't happen to me. I'm sure there's always a solution.
Right.
And somehow by trying to find that solution, I couldn't. And ultimately the stage come that we had to, go separate ways.
Right.
And then I realized, man, yes, it can happen to anyone. And this was kind of a rejection which I got for the first time. So when you get a rejection from some person or situation, I felt that why? What's wrong?
With me.
So it was always me. So the real thing was that sometime or maybe earlier in life, if you get a rejection and you know how to handle rejection, maybe it prepares you better. But till the time I was 27, 28, I didn't know that, how to handle
rejections. Yeah.
So,
how to not get personal about them.
Yeah,
yes.
but if it's in a personal relationship,
yes,
then you can't look at it as an observer, as a third party.
True.
So that was the reason I felt that I was taken aback.
And then, very interestingly, Deepak, I mean, like you said that you heard about this or you understood the concept of stress 2-3 years back. I'm quite sure that moving through all these years, you never really addressed that rejection. And one person's rejection becomes a generalized rejection in life, where probably you're moving around wondering if the next person is going to reject me just the same way.
No, you see what had happened, that after that rejection, I thought that, I don't think it's going to happen again.
Right.
But then the rejection was, first it was from a person, then probably it was in a job,
right.
then probably it was in a contract. So that rejection...
Which is life, right?
Which is life, yeah.
Which is rejection.
You can't sign every contract you make proposal for,
Absolutely.
So that rejection kind of a thing which triggered off, and I think in my case, that's the reason which has probably kept all that pent-up emotions inside me.
Yes.
The blockages.
Okay, yeah.
The blockages.
Yes, the blockages. I think my blockages are my rejections.
Yeah,
and pent up.
And this is amazing that this is the first time, Deepak, you are talking about it so openly. And it's really, with Dr. Bhavana also, it's really, really going to help you dissolve these much more, because it was not actually rejection. It was just life. It happened.
It was an incident in life.
So accepting that it was life that happened to you versus looking at it at a larger level in your own head will help you get better and help you get that happy-go-lucky man back.
And I've started to work towards it, because being into hospitality and I was a trainer, I used to conduct this exercise with a lot of general managers of the hotel, that please make a CV. On one page you write your success, and on one page you write all the failures you've had in life.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you write all the failures in your life, when you read it, you say, then you accept it. Because it's there in front of you. When you pen something down, you can accept it. Otherwise, when a failure comes to your mind, you say, no, it was because of A, B, C, D. Right. But when you see it, it's like, oh God, yes, I failed because of A, B, C, D. My reasons, not circumstances.
And more than that, what's important, Deepak, is to understand that failure is not you as a failure. It is a failure.
Yeah.
In life, it is generally an incident which happened, which didn't go your way. It's got nothing to do with you as a failure in life. Mm-hmm. It's about putting things into perspective. Like you rightly said, right? When that incident happened at 28, 29, you never knew if you could go back. But today you have a wonderful family life back again. You have a loving wife. You have an amazing daughter. And looking back at it, you wonder, itna stress kyun liya?
I know. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, true.
Great.
Yeah.
So going forward, Deepak, I hope to get better reports, because not only are you going to hopefully go back to the nutrition program that we have been following, but follow Dr. Bhavana's guidelines on how to reduce your stress levels. Bhavana, in 2 lines, what is your very, very specific advice to Deepak on how to reduce his stress levels cognitively?
Firstly, Deepak, every time you know that a situation is stressful, learn to be aware of how your body is responding to it. Once you're aware of the responses, you'll be able to control it. Most of the times we go about these emotions or these symptoms of these emotions in a very unconscious manner. Mm-hmm. Learn to recognize that, yes, I can sense my heart rate is increasing. I can sense that my breathing is becoming shallow. Once you're aware, take a step back, understand whether what you are feeling right now will this emotion last 1 day from now, 1 week from now, 1 year from now. Mm-hmm. And when you realize, no, it's not going to matter in a week's time, in 10 days' time, in 40 days, then automatically your body tells you that it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll manage it.
Move on.
Just clear it.
Yeah, move on. Good.
Great.
Thanks for your advice, Bhavana. Thank you.
You're welcome, Deepak. And I hope to see, I know how passionately Rachna works with all of her patients. And I hope to hear from her saying that one last patient who she is so, who she's pushing to see, make that complete shift, for a good enough time. I hope to see it now.
Sure. And since Rachna's made me an international patient, I'll work towards it.
Yes, we need to show the results.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for being in the studio. So what have we learned today with the number one lifestyle disease killer in the world, cardiovascular disease? Today, everything that you do, you may follow the best nutrition or exercise program, but if you do not manage your stress levels, then you are not going to get better and on the other side of healthy, and you're not going to be able to avoid the bypass or avoid the blockages. Even though Deepak was brave enough to stand up and say, okay, I'm not going to do a bypass, and he followed the path of nutrition and lifestyle, he did not address his stress. Thanks to Dr. Bhavana today, he has also been very, very brave about combating and accepting his inner fears and stressors. And we look forward to a future episode where we are going to share Deepak's reports after 3 months of him following Dr. Bhavana's recommendations and advice. So if you have any questions on heart disease, hypertension, uric acid, heart disease risk factors, please do inbox me on Rachna Restores at Instagram or Twitter, or tweet to us, and we will take up your questions in a future show. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in a week. That was the infectiously charming Deepak Khera flirting with Dr. Bhavana Gautam, who has promised to push him to be consistent with his commitment levels of following what his heart wants. And we have had a barrage of questions on my Instagram inbox and emails on heart risk issues after I announced in the last episode that we will be doing a special episode on heart disease. Vivek from Bangalore writes, Rachna ji, what is the best way to reduce high blood pressure? I have not yet taken medication for it and would like to reduce it naturally. Vivek, first of all, even though you have a wonderful intention of healing your hypertension naturally, don't do it. High blood pressure, fluctuating blood pressure are big risk factors for kidney issues and ultimately kidney failure. Start your medication and alongside start doing things to reduce your blood pressure, and you can taper off your medications once your blood pressure has stabilized and become low. There are 4 simple things that you can do to immediately reduce your blood pressure. Number 1, start having 1000 mg vitamin C after every meal. Vitamin C has clinically known to be as effective as a blood pressure medicine in reducing blood pressure. It is an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it calms the pressure in the blood vessels, leading to lower levels of blood pressure. Number 2, start doing moderate walking consistently for 45 minutes every single day. Not fast, not slow, moderate pace. This moderate pace of walking is going to start strengthening your heart and helping with the function of pumping your heart of dhadak, 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 coming down to dhadak, 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 more consistently. When that happens, the blood is evenly distributed and circulates at a calmer pace. Number 3, stop eating non-vegetarian food for 3 months. When the heat and hormones present in non-vegetarian foods or animal products, and this includes milk and milk products as well, as they are also animal products, the body gets into an agitated mode. This agitation then results in palpitations, fluctuating blood pressure, and cholesterol deposits. Number 4, stop caffeine. Coffee, tea, aerated drinks like Pepsi, Coke, Mountain Dew have very high levels of caffeine and will increase this palpitation and agitation. And number 5, stay calm. This is easier said than done, of course, but deep breathing and Anulom Vilom done only from the left nostril has clinically shown to reduce blood pressure. Dear Vivek, once you do all these for a consistent period of 3 weeks, Start monitoring your blood pressure, and when it consistently stays low for 5 days at a stretch, you can easily start tapering off your blood pressure medications. Continue with all the 5 steps to reduce your blood pressure, and you will never get it back again. You will also strengthen your heart. Anita from Delhi has inboxed me on Instagram saying, "My husband is extremely overweight and I'm constantly worried about his heart. How do I motivate him to lose weight so that he can have a healthier heart?" My dear Anita, it is not just his heart which is at risk if he is overweight or obese. His risk for cancer is also high. You may want to share this information with him. It could get him to be a little more serious about his health. An overweight person should ideally not begin a weight loss or exercise program without being supervised by a nutrition expert or a doctor. Going to a gym and suddenly starting exercises can actually put your heart at risk much more because of the sudden levels of activity which your heart is not used to. Go to a nutrition expert, get them to diagnose via blood test reports and other diagnostic checkups if everything inside him is fine or needs to be tackled along with the weight loss. A lot of overweight people are also pre-diabetic, have hypertension and high triglycerides, which are a sign of fatty liver. Putting him on a weight loss program that also addresses all these issues will help him get good health overall and also protect his heart. Okay guys, it's time to wrap up. I cannot take any more questions, but keep them coming. We will respond to them on my Instagram, Twitter or Facebook at Rachna Restos. Keep them coming in. Our next episode is on what you'd like to hold on to and sip to during the festive season. Your drink. Is it safe to drink? What should you drink when you're out for a party with friends? How many times can you drink? All these questions and many more will be answered in our next episode. You can send in your questions about alcohol to me on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, on Rachna Restores, and I will take them up in our next episode. Till then, don't reach for the bottle, drink lots of water, keep your heart calm and listen to its dhadkan.
Hi guys, this is Ayushi.
And I am Ritasha.
And welcome to Agla Station Adulthood.
It's a fun podcast we've got going on and we'd love for you to tune in and enjoy with us.
Join us as we stop at various stations and discuss different topics that seem to be bothering us and hopefully
Dating,
you as well.
relationships, beauty, just being an adult, lots of different things.
We don't have a great grip on it, but we've done okay so far.
Catch Agla Station Adulthood every Thursday on the IVM app, the IVM website, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.